In recent years, Supreme Master Ching Hai graciously allowed our association members to gather for international seminars. There were joyous occasions as Master and disciples reunited to meditate and pray for peace. During her visit to meet with our association members, Supreme Master Ching Hai also spoke of the teachings of past masters and answered the spiritual questions of fellow initiates. Throughout the ages, compassionate enlightened masters have urged people to surrender to the greater universal power by seeking the divine within, from which all other goodness and happiness follow. This message was echoed again in Supreme Master Ching Hai's two-part discussion, The Truth Behind a Master's Actions, with our association members on January 3rd, 2009.
Supreme Master Ching Hai's lectures are not a complete meditation instruction. Please do not try alone. For free of charge guidance, please visit www.godsdirectcontact.org or contact any of our centers near you.
Yesterday you wanted to say something more.
About my experience. What I often experience is a kind of parallel of events that take place in my life. Let's say I see some lecture of you. There was this lecture about Kabir. There was a man who wanted to visit Kabir, but he was not at home. He was to a funeral. And then the man asked, the wife said he's at a funeral and if you go there you can find him. But the man, he never saw Kabir before. And then the man said, but how can I recognize him?
Yeah.
And then the wife of Kabir said, you can see it on his halo.
Yeah.
His
he
white
has
shining light
around his head, yeah.
So then the man, he went to the funeral, and when he arrived at the funeral, everybody
has light
had
around,
light
his head,
around him. So it happened to me that somebody died in that same period, and I saw that light around everybody. So this parallel between an event that takes place in my life and then it is commented by a tape or by a book. So at one time I had a book. It's called Living Amongst the Himalaya Masters from Swami Rama.
Okay.
And there's also one story about a Swami who is, like you read there in your book, in this poem, he is throwing meat and flesh and dirt and mud to people to keep them at a distance. And he's sitting amongst crocodiles. And like this, he always wants to, he doesn't
understand,
behave in a social way.
Yes.
But like it was written.
It's not like a very compassionate master, loving and cordial and polite and so.
When I read that book, the same happened. That events took place, and it always coincided with the story in the book. So the story in the book was a kind of commenting on the event.
Good for you.
But maybe you can explain what is the mechanic.
You see, if you didn't read the book, or you didn't hear my lecture about Kabir with the light around his head and everybody else has the light around their head during funeral service, then if you saw that in the funeral event of your area, you wouldn't understand why. You would think you're crazy, maybe you're out of your mind, and then you might keep asking everybody else and they will think you are out of your mind. See what I mean? So it's good that you read that and then you don't question and you don't tell even people who doesn't understand anyway. Yeah. It's good for you. The master, why do you think he throw anything to the people so that they don't go near? Why does he do that? Why couldn't they just let him come and teach them something? Why do you think he throw them out?
To keep the shallow out.
They're all shallow, all of them? He told everybody to get out, right?
He wanted to meditate and deepen his practice.
Okay.
The master didn't want to pick up their karmas.
Oh, it's not that. It's not that, baby. No.
Maybe because he wants everyone to leave him alone.
It's not that. It's just very difficult for any master at all to find peace within this world, number one. Number two, very difficult to find anyone who is truly, very sincerely quest for enlightenment and nothing else. Either they want to heal their sickness or want some fortune, and you win the lotto, you know, or get a pretty wife, or want to bear more children, grandchildren, any kind of things. Just want to go and bug him, you know. Just want him to dispense miracle without them working. Most people, if they come to revere a saint, they flock to him in numbers, but none of them are really seeking God, seeking the supreme wisdom or liberation. They just want to go there, borrow some, you know, merit, spiritual power from the master, just to squander it for any materialistic reason. That's why most masters, they get tired.
There's also this story about a prince who wanted to visit a master who lives in a cave. And then all the time the guardian was keep him away. But then after 3 or 4 times that the prince attempted to visit the master, he finally let him in the cave. And then he received him on the mud and stone, and they were sitting together.
Yeah.
And then the prince said, "It seems to me that you are very lonely, living here in this cave on stone and mud.
Alone and nothing there, yeah.
Alone and nothing." And then the master answered, "Yes, since you are here, I start to feel lonely."
That's correct. That is correct. It is truly like that. People come and make you feel lonely. When you're alone, you have nothing to compare, okay? And you're deep in your spiritual enjoyment. And when some come around, they just bug you and they just drag you into a kind of a lower dimension in thinking, you know, and all that. And make you feel you're dragged back into the world again, where there is comparison, high and low, and, you know, up and down and all that, and you feel lonely. You feel the loneliness of the people, of the whole world. People are often lonely. That's why they married or they have partner or friends, you know. So when they bring that into your cave, you feel also. If you're alone, you don't feel lonely. Truly, when you're alone, you feel so good, so good, so good. For the sake of others. They sacrifice their tranquility, yeah? Many other things. When you are with the multitude, it's different. Sometimes you have to even act accordingly, you know, or compromising, so that they will understand you and then slowly bring him up.
There's another story I want to tell you, because I don't understand this story.
Tell me.
It's a story about Maharishi Patanjali, and he was a very high saint. He lives maybe 5,000 years ago, and he had about 1,000 students. Always, when seekers came to become a student, then he disguising himself like a demon, and then he hang himself in the tree. And making them scared or make a joke. And then he asked them strange questions like, "Are you well cooked?"
Yeah, I understand. Just behave like a ghost or bad or demon. Incomprehensible. It's not like a saint, okay? So what happened?
Then at last he had 1,000 students, and always when he was teaching, he taught behind a curtain. And then from behind the curtain, from his head, or maybe from his body, grow 1,000 snakes. And the snakes, they went in front of each student. And then each student was taught individual by this snake. But there was the rule that nobody should look behind the curtain. And one day he started his lesson, and then the one naughty student, he dared to look behind the curtains.
Yes.
And in an instant, all the students were burned to ashes.
It sounds like the story of Shiva. Okay, so what happened?
Then what happened was that maybe 10 minutes later, one student came. He was a little bit late. So he found there this classroom with all these ashes. And then he said what happened, and Patanjali explained to him. And then this one student, he asked, can I continue to be your student? So, and the moral of the story is that we are all exponents from this one student. So we are this lazy student, this slow student. The present human race came from that person.
The knowledge of the human race came from that latest student, the lazy one. So why don't you understand that story? What you don't understand?
This transformation of snake in front of each student.
In the East, you know, snake is symbolic of wisdom. You see, Shiva has a lot of snakes around him, and some Buddha or some Vishnu has a lot of snakes on top of their head. Just means each student has master taught him individually, directly, you know, but from different angle. The snake means just the wisdom was imparted to the student. It's not the snake at all. They'd be scared to death. They don't need to be burned to death. They're scared to death of everybody. The whole 1,000 snakes coming and poking at you all the time, imparting to you the wisdom.
But what about this curtain then?
The curtain is a symbol of that you don't truly know the real master. You are covered, you see? You learn just partially. And the true master you don't really know. You see the master as a body sitting here, for example. If I'm a master, that's all you see. You see? As if a curtain has drawn between you and the master. And you don't really know it's a master or not a master. What the master truly look like inside. For the students, you don't know.
Actually, your body is already the curtain.
Yes, something like that.
But the rule that nobody should look behind the curtain, and if one surpassed this rule, then all the students were burned to ashes.
Okay. That is, after you initiated, you're all connected. Huh? If one of you ever penetrated, yes, and became so enlightened, yeah, and see the real master, the burn to ashes means just the destroy of the ignorance, of the physical ignorance. Destroy the ego. Not naughty, just one is more advanced, you know, daring, and can become enlightened. Then everybody else get helped too, yeah, because we're all connected. Okay. So after you penetrate the curtain, that means you're gone. In the old time, the master seldom talk black and white. They give you parable, yes, or example, yes. And that is something that the outside people don't know. Yeah, okay.
It has been a great joy to have your loving company for today's episode of Between Master and Disciples. Now please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for healthy living, coming up next after noteworthy news. May your spirit be light and bright with God's blessings and grace.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/BMD.